Hey guys, my name's Aaron Massey, and today I'm not going to give you a project video, but I've had a few requests to give you some updates on the shop, so I'm going to give you a shop tour. So here we go. All right guys, so we're in the shop, and in through this door here is my office. It's where I do all my editing, all my video stuff. My shop is just a converted, what used to be a two-car garage, but now it's a shop. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know that this place was in pretty rough shape when I bought the house, and I've been working on kind of updating it for quite a long time. It's still not even close to finished, but it's in a lot better shape than it was. So I just wanted to walk you guys through some of the new changes, some of the things I've done, some of the things I haven't updated you on, haven't showed you yet. To my left, as soon as I come in the door, got a fire extinguisher. I put it up just so it's always in sight, just in case. Gotta have a fire extinguisher in your shop just in case. You never know what's gonna happen, especially when you do stuff like me, because I just wing it, and sometimes I light stuff on fire. So I got that there. Don't mind the drywall finishing, because I was thinking I was gonna cover a lot of this drywall with different wall coverings, and I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So the drywall finishing is not good. I will give you that. I keep a broom nearby the door, and I keep some extension cords kind of hung up here on the workbench. And this here is part of the new dust collection system that I've installed that is based on that side of the room. We've got the whole place kind of plumbed up for a dust collection system now, which is something that I'm really happy with and really kind of proud of. Finally saving up the money to get that installed, because it was a real pain in the butt before. Just battling the dust was crazy. So I've got a floor sweep that I built here. At each tool is one of these blast gates. These blast gates open and close depending on the tool that you're using. My shop is roughly like 16 by 19, I think, but I've got that whole side is also kind of open because I've got the big garage door. So I try to leave that door open as much as possible to give me as much extra workspace as I can possibly get. And so let's just go through some of the other stuff here. So up here I've got just a couple magnetic bit holders and things just up on the wall. And then moving on this way, we've got a Craftsman toolbox. This thing I just keep a lot of like my hand tools and random things in that I don't need all the time, but it's not very organized, so you're just gonna have to deal with that. But just whatever, just kind of a bunch of random things that I might use here and there, I kind of keep within arm's reach. Dremel tool, I've got some Porter cable Forstner bits, some Stanley rivets, and then in the bigger drawers down here is where I keep a lot of the like sanders. This is a dado stack for my table saw. Down here I keep my skill saw and some of my other junk. I've got a little bit more of a contractor background than a woodworking background, so I've got a lot of tools that are more contractor based than woodworking based. I'm getting really into woodworking, but a lot of my stuff is still you know, around the house, home improvement, contractor type tools. Up here on the wall is kind of where I keep everything that I use all the time. I've got my logo painted up here, and this is kind of the primary wall you've seen in most of my videos, as this is kind of the backdrop. What I really like about this is it's a giant pegboard. It's like 4 by 8 or something, and I'm a big believer in keeping your tools out and visible where you can see them if you use them a lot. For one, it gives me the opportunity to just kind of know when things are missing. So if, you know, my hammer's missing here, I know that's where my hammer goes, and I know it's missing. That means I either left it somewhere or, you know, it's sitting around somewhere it needs to be found. So I like to have everything out and about and visible and organized as much as possible. So I use, you know, as many of these little hangers to hang the tools, and whatever you got, make it work. I've got a little whatever they call it, self-healing cutting mat or whatever. Do some electronic work on here, and if you've seen some of my overhead camera videos, I usually use this to help show scale of things and all that kind of stuff. And then this whole workbench station here, this giant workbench thing, was just kind of something I slapped together out of the old shelving. If you go back and watch one of my early videos when I tore down, there was big shelves that went the whole length of this back wall. With those shelves, I took them apart and I made them into this big workbench, which spans the whole length of the shop. Of course, I've got to have my bottle opener right here. So just enjoying myself out here. This is where I come to have fun and let loose a little bit. And, you know, you could safely operate power tools within reason, having a couple drinks if you know what you're doing. So you got to have that. And then this drawer was something I found out of an old desk. It was a little desk organizer kit. I keep a lot of my drill bits and screwdriver or you know, bit ends and fittings and random stuff I keep in that top drawer. And then down here I keep a little bit more of like, I got a pocket hole jig, clamps, a couple pocket hole screws. I've got a little roller that I use for glue ups. Sometimes things get messy, but I try to be as organized as I possibly can because I am kind of an anal person when it comes to organization, but I'm also have to understand that everything takes time. It's a process. I'd like to spend all the time that I have to build this place into like a super shop, but realistically that's just not gonna happen because I gotta make project videos and all this type of stuff. So I'm slowly acquiring tools, slowly building out the shop, and you know, trying to keep it as organized as I can while I go. I like to just keep all my screws and stuff organized. One of my biggest pet peeves is like the boxes that screws come in. The screw boxes just fall apart and they leave a mess. So I pretty much immediately take them out of the box and put them in these things. I've got my miter saw or my chop saw station. This is a 12-inch DeWalt chop saw. It's not a sliding saw, but it's 12-inch and works perfectly fine for what I need it for. And this whole little shroud thing that I built is purely focused on keeping dust down. It's all scrap wood, just random scrap wood that I had lying around, some MDF and things. I stapled in here, it's just an extra piece of an old bed sheet, I think, fabric. I just put it up to keep the dust from flying out of my little enclosure here, and it seems to work really well. So inside here, there's a cutout of the workbench that goes down, and down in there, there's a port for the dust collection system. The dust collection system is plumbed all the way across the garage in 4-inch black piping, and that runs down behind the toolbox here and all the way across and plumbs up down here. And as I mentioned before, there's blast gates. There's blast gates at every tool. I love having music playing when I'm in the shop, and this speaker is awesome. It pumps music in here like crazy. Originally I was thinking I was gonna do like some crazy surround sound system or something in here, like speakers all over the place, and I scrapped all that because it's just a waste of time and waste of money. So I got this little Bose SL3, and this thing cranks. Up here on the wall behind my miter station, so I've got pallet wood throughout. This is all just pallet wood that I busted apart some old pallets and threw up on the walls. And then I think I slapped like a single coat of polyurethane on it to kind of bring out some of the color and stuff. And so these are like my little F clamps. This is another one of my project videos and things that I was gonna do, and I just needed something. Didn't have the time. It's a very basic project to build clamps, or to build clamp racks, but you can only do so much. So I just said, screw it, and I bought a couple. I bought a set of, so they got F clamps, I got whatever you call the trigger clamps, and then I've got a parallel clamp rack that I've got mounted over there. Here I've got a Porter cable framing nailer. That, again, like I mentioned before, I do a lot of like more contractor work than woodworking, even though I would like to do more woodworking. Biscuit joiner, palm router, oscillating tool. That's a Bosch oscillating tool. These are Makita biscuit joiner, Makita planer. This is my Porter cable pancake compressor. This thing's great. It's been with me for years now, and it works great. The only thing that I have a major complaint about is this hose. I gotta get a new hose for this thing because this hose is like plasticky garbage. It sucks. It's the stiffest thing ever, and you have to fight it constantly. And I don't know why I haven't just sucked it up and bought a new one after all these years, but for some reason I just keep dealing with it, and every time I use it I get a pain in the butt. But I got this on wheels. So let's move on. Let's move on to where the magic happens right here. This is my table saw, and this is just a DeWalt 10-inch job site contractor saw. It's the reason why I got it was, like I mentioned, I do contractor work and stuff, so it's good to have something that I can move around easily and mobile. Eventually, as I get more into the woodworking side of things and some of that type of stuff where I can just leave this more fixed, I would love to eventually save up enough money to go the saw stop route like a lot of other cabinet guys and stuff have gone. Save my fingers if possible. And for right now, this thing is a beast. Everything in the center of the shop here is 100% mobile. So I've got 2 matching workbenches. This one I've had for years. And this one I just built. And actually I'll probably make a video about how to build. These are just very, very basic plywood top, single sheet of plywood workbenches that I built out of no design. I just designed them on my own, and they have caster wheels on the bottom of them. So anything in the center of the shop here can be completely wheeled out. As much as possible, this shop is very mobile because I like to work outside as much as possible, which is I've got this huge driveway here. So why not be outside as much as possible when I can be? I just added a couple doors on the front of this bench last week just because I wanted to organize them a little bit better. And this is the frame that I built. It's been just an open workbench for years and I've stored stuff on it. But I wanted to add just a little bit more function to it and a little bit more storage that could be closed off and cleaned up, keep the dust out and all that kind of stuff. So I've got a couple just super basic, these are just super cheap crates that I got from Home Depot. I've had for years that have just been lying around. Eventually I'll close off the rest of the workbench so that, the dust can't come in on the sides and all that kind of stuff. And then this was here when I moved in, and originally I was gonna kind of get rid of it, but it's just a great big cabinet with a lot of storage. It's not nearly as organized as I want it to be, and eventually I'll get around to it. But it's got tons of storage in it. It's just a great cabinet for all sorts of stuff. So I've got random around the house cleaners and all sorts of stuff and things here and there. I keep my respirators in here. I've got some gloves, work gloves, parts for sprinkler system. You name it, kind of goes in here if I don't need it that often. And I probably should do a better job of organizing it, but hey, what the hell. And one day I got sick of looking at this paneling and I threw some diamond plate on it because I thought it looked cool. And then I realized I wasted money throwing diamond plate on it, and then I never did the other side. So now I got half of each. So I don't know. And this is just a variable speed orbital sander. I keep it right here plugged in. I've got a power strip mounted to my workbench so I can just plug in whatever I need as I'm working on my workbench here. And I've got it plumbed up. This is relatively new. I've done this drop down flex hose thing from the dust collection system up there, and this controls both the table saw back there and this one controls this little flex hose here. This is new. I try to use that outside as much as possible, but I've got this plumbed up here for now when I need to be inside. The only thing that pisses me off about this is these fittings are supposed to fit this. It doesn't. I had to buy a little adjustable strap clamp to clamp it on there because it kept popping off every time I tried to use it. It was driving me freaking bonkers. I picked up these are like just little sliding closet doors. I built this bump out closet which kind of sticks out like 3 feet from the back wall, so it cuts into my shop a lot. But since my garage is also my shop, a lot of the stuff that's in here is like home goods and stuff, Christmas decorations and Halloween stuff and all that, like family stuff that you just accrue over the years and random things like that. Not only does it look cleaner, but it keeps the dust off of that type of stuff, which I don't need that often, except for maybe like once a year or whatever. Up here I keep stuff I don't use that often. I've got one of my chainsaws up here. You probably recognize that video if you saw the timber frame mirror that I did on the Carhartt channel. That's the saw I used in that. This is my finish shelf. This shelf was here when we moved in. It was hanging in the garage. I just kept it. So here I've got this Craftsman router. This is a Porter cable dovetail jig. So I've been experimenting a little bit with doing some dovetails and random woodworking things. And this is a cool little jig that a friend of mine actually got me this for my birthday. So I've tried to use that, and it's pretty fun to kind of mess around with and Over here I've got a just a bench grinder. I don't use it all that often. This here is an old jointer that was actually here with the house when I moved in, and it's not the best. It definitely needs to be calibrated and cleaned up and all that type of stuff. It's an old Delta. It still works, it just needs some TLC, and I would love to save it and get it back up and running and all that type of stuff, but it's incredibly heavy and I keep moving it around the shop, and it's a little bit frustrating because I keep working around it and it doesn't work. So one of these days I just got to suck it up and figure out whatever I need to do to fix it or get it calibrated. This here is my new workbench. It's the same as the old workbench. The reason why I built this one is pretty much just because I wanted a bigger kick-out table for my table saw. Enables me to have a bigger work surface for things when I'm working on stuff. I was having a lot of problems with the things I was working on being too big and not having enough space. So I think that's kind of the MO of all these like two-car garages, is how do you maximize the workspace that you have in a small space. Over here now, this is my baby. This is what I've been talking about this whole time. This is my Grizzly, what is it? I don't even know. It's a 1.5 horsepower, I don't know the model number, but it's a 1.5 horsepower dust collection system. I saved up for a long time to buy this thing. Couldn't be more thrilled with it. It has changed this shop immensely since I put it in. It's so much cleaner now. So easy to kind of just flip open the blast gates at each tool and just whoosh, sucks all the dust away. And I've got these pretty cool super extensions like this one. So I've got a big 4-inch hose, a cool like feed thing. So if I want to clean the table saw, I want to do any, I want to clean my workbench, I added an extension onto the hose so that I can pretty much reach anything in the shop. And then for the floors, I've got this big bad boy right here, so I can suck up anything. Don't mind the drywall. Don't even worry about it. I'll get around to it eventually. I keep telling myself I was going to finish the drywall and everything originally as soon as I'd put it up. Oh, just finish it. And I was like, yeah, but then you're using that time that you could be working on projects that are fun. I hate drywall. I hate it. Down here I've got a big old 1.5 horsepower Craftsman air compressor. This was a hand-me-down from the house as well. It's also not in great shape, and I really don't need it. But here I am holding on to it. I've got this Craftsman 15-inch drill press. This thing's also not in the best of shape, but it works. So what are you gonna do? This here is a great feature. This is just a pull down, power outlet. It's a 50-foot extension cord on a retractable reel. I got this from Rockler. This is great. This is how I power this workbench here. I don't like having power strips and cables and things running around on the floors. I'll trip on it. I don't like tripping on things when there's tools around the shop, things like that. It becomes a little bit dangerous when stuff's obstructing you on the floor. So when I want to power this power outlet on the workbench, I just throw this down, plug it in, and then when I'm done with it, if I don't need it, I just send it back up. So it's pretty great. These are my work lights. These are some daylight balanced flow lights. They cast the majority of the light when I'm filming a video. And then the rest of the actual workshop light I talked about in a previous renovation video. These are all LED lighting. So try and save as much energy as I can in terms of the lighting in the place. And so I've got everything wired into the switches here. I've got my overall garage lighting on this switch here, and then on the second switch powers my video lights, my production lights. And as far as tools that I would really like to have, or what's next on the agenda for me, I would really like to get a benchtop planer, which I currently don't have. That'll be one of the next tools that I kind of do. I'm hoping to turn the new workbench here, part of it into a router table. That's going to be on the agenda as well. And then a bandsaw. I don't currently have a bandsaw, so I would really like to get a bandsaw. But that's about it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me on my little shop tour here. I know it's been a while since I've updated you guys on this progress of the shop, and I wanted to give you guys an overview of kind of how I'm building it out as I go. It's a work in progress, and so I thank you guys so much for tuning in and checking it out. And if you want to check out more of my videos, be sure to click the links in the description below. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.